The title of knight is a coveted title that symbolizes courage, pride, endurance, and above all, a warrior of high virtue who will serve his kingdom faithfully. However, throughout history, there have been a lot of corrupt knights, kings who devalued the title of knight, or just inflation of knights. But in today's video, we will deal with a special kind of knight, a black knight, not just any black, the black one. But before we talk about the black knight, we need to understand what a knight is in general. Well, a knight is a title of honor given to a person for his service to the kingdom. In the Middle Ages, the knights were a recognized social status in Western and Central Europe. Knights were warriors on horseback and clad in armor, and were generally considered part of the lower nobility. After the decline of the military importance of knights, knighthood became a title of honor which kings and governments could bestow on those who had made a special contribution to them or to the public. In this sense, the institution of chivalry exists to this day in some European countries and other countries in the world. In the Middle Ages, the knights on horseback made up the bulk of the cavalry, mainly as heavy cavalry. During this period, the cavalry was the main maneuvering force. Since they belonged to the aristocracy, they were usually much better equipped than the infantry, who were recruited from the common people. At that time, the equipment of the warriors was owned by the warriors and often not provided by their employer as in modern armies. The mounted knights were armed with heavy armor, chain armor and later plate armor, helmet, shield, sword, cavalry lance, clubs, warhammer, and more. Simply put, if the common soldier is level 1, a knight is level 50 and he pays real money for accessories. Only once, it would have helped battles, and not just a stinky skin in a game with a dead community. Now that we understand more or less what a knight is, what is the difference between it and a black knight? And no, I don't mean the color of the armor, I know that's what you were thinking. A black knight often refers to a figure in literature and folklore, representing a mysterious or antagonistic character who might be a rogue knight, an outcast, or a symbol of evil. Unlike regular knights, black knights did not adhere to the chivalric code and were often depicted as opponents to the protagonist, embodying traits like treachery, darkness, and rebellion. While the term knight brings to mind ideals of nobility and duty, the black knight evokes an image of a formidable and possibly villainous figure, challenging the established order and presenting a darker aspect of knighthood. These contrasting images highlight the diverse ways in which knighthood was perceived and represented in medieval culture and storytelling. In real life, the term black knight doesn't refer to a specific historical figure, but rather to certain knights who wore black armor or adopted black emblems for various reasons. Black armor or heraldic symbols were sometimes used to signify mourning, penance, or a connection to death, with knights donning black attire during periods of mourning or to honor fallen comrades. Additionally, the stark, dark appearance of black armor was intended to intimidate opponents, enhancing the knight's formidable presence on the battlefield. One notable historical figure often associated with the color black is Edward of Woodstock. Now, throughout history, there have been several figures identified with the Black Knight, and of course, also in folklore there are various black knights such as Lancelot and Mordred, but I don't care about some drunken Scotsman or riotous Pole, although his nickname, the First Knight of Europe, is kind of hard. The real and historically first Black Knight is Edward of Woodstock. So who he was? Edward of Woodstock, more famously known as the Black Prince, was a pivotal figure in the history of medieval England. Born on June 15, 1330 in Woodstock, Oxfordshire, he was the eldest son of King Edward III of England and Philippa of Hainault. His birth marked the beginning of a life destined for military glory and chivalric legend. Edward's upbringing was meticulously planned to prepare him for his future role as a leader. He was given an extensive education, which included lessons in Latin, French, and English, as well as training in the arts of warfare and statecraft. By the age of 16, Edward was already participating in military campaigns, demonstrating early on his capability and leadership.
We're fighting back! Take that, Crawley! Take that, Gnomes!
What were you doing at age 16 playing Minecraft? Edward's moniker, the Black Prince, is believed to have originated either from the black armor he wore or from his fearsome reputation on the battlefield. Although the exact origin of the nickname remains uncertain, it is clear that Edward embraced the image it conveyed. The black armor not only made him an imposing figure, but also signified a break from the traditional, brightly colored heraldry of the time. This dark, formidable presence helped to intimidate his enemies and build his legend. Nowadays, Netflix will probably make him black, and ironically, not a knight. Edward's military career was marked by numerous significant victories that solidified his reputation as one of England's greatest commanders. His first major engagement came at the Battle of Crecy in 1346. At just 16 years old, Edward led a division of the English army to a decisive victory against a much larger French force. His leadership and bravery were instrumental in the success of this battle, showcasing his tactical acumen and courage. Another notable triumph was the Battle of Poitiers in 1356. Edward's forces managed to capture the French king John II, a feat that significantly boosted English morale and weakened French resistance during the 100 Years' War. These victories not only demonstrated Edward's prowess as a military strategist, but also cemented his status as a legendary warrior.
That's why he's the GOAT!
One of Edward's most epic moments came during the Battle of Najera in 1367, where he aided Pedro of Castile in regaining his throne. This battle further enhanced his reputation for invincibility on the battlefield. Legend has it that in that battle, it was not possible to land a blow on him, and his black armor was completely covered in red, but not one drop of blood was his. However, like most of the great generals and warriors in history, Edward's later years were marred by illness. He contracted a debilitating disease, possibly dysentery, which greatly affected his health and ability to lead. You know what they say? If you don't die on the battlefield, you probably die with a good return from an incurable disease. Edward of Woodstock died on June 8, 1376, at the age of 45, a year before his father. His premature death meant that he never ascended to the throne, and his son, Richard II, eventually became king. Despite not becoming king, Edward's legacy endured through his military achievements and chivalric ideals. He was a patron of the arts and education, contributing to the cultural life of his time. Edward's Black Prince's ruby, a large spinel set in the imperial state crown, remains a symbol of his enduring legacy. His life and legend continue to epitomize the ideals and complexities of knighthood during the medieval period. The Black Prince's story is a blend of historical fact and chivalric myth, making him a timeless figure in the annals of history. His contributions to England's military successes and his embodiment of knightly virtues have left an indelible mark on history, ensuring that the Black Prince remains a subject of fascination and admiration.